Hello, welcome to a Yesshift news desk edition. Catching up on news of the past month, and there's been some really recent things pertaining to Yes and people related to Yes, and the world of Prague. So there's a lot to go over. Now, for this episode, and yeah, I know I forgot to play the music, but that's okay. For this episode, one of the big topics, which will be midway through this one, is the whole dare to know situation. I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of it, and yes, have responded to the claims, and that should put the whole thing to bed. But yeah, I'll touch on that in the middle of this after I go over some other things. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Some releases that have come out or are gonna come out, and there is a recent Stephen Lamb article that actually came out on my birthday a couple weeks ago, funny enough, that has updates on John Anderson's projects and yeah, so a bunch of other stuff. John Lodge, yeah, got a lot to cover. So, gonna do my best to give things their due. And here we go. So, something that I forgot to mention, or I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention on the last news desk, was this post. This was pertaining to. I want to get the name of this correct. Yeah, XOXZeno. So this is a project that's been in the work for years, and on the Facebook page, so it's got a band fan page over on Facebook. uh, yeah, a few weeks ago, posted greetings, the new record, Luminous Voyage, featuring Craig Maher, Billy Sherwood, Patrick Moraz, and Jay Shellen, is almost ready to set sail, but there's been a slight delay due to the mastering to vinyl process, which we want to get right. I'm really excited for everyone to hear it, as it's been a long journey crafting a full record, and I appreciate your patience while we ensure everything sounds perfect. Stay tuned, as we will be releasing it as digital downloads and vinyl for the short term. It's going to be well worth the wait. So, yeah, we'll be keeping out an eye on news about that. And this next bit also happened, I think, toward the end of October. Harry Whitley, who's been playing with Asia, got married. There was a post over on the Original Asia page saying all the members of Original Asia crew and QEDG management would like to wish our very own Harry Whitley and the beautiful Leah an enormous congratulations on the occasion of their wedding, which took place today. That would have been October 29th, I believe. We wish them a lifetime of love and light. This is an extraordinary life. Yeah, I like the way they ended that with the tip of that to that Asia song. So, yeah, congratulations, Harry. Really like huge occasion, and yeah, I'm glad you were able to celebrate that. But speaking of an extraordinary life, John Wetton, there was a John Wetton set that recently came out on November 15th, I believe, and this is titled Consentus, the John Wetton Live Collection, Volume 1. And it's the first of an ongoing series of three box sets celebrating his live output. So I'll go ahead and see if I can share the thing that shows the image of this. Let's see. Choo choo choo. Make sure I have the right tab. Okay, and here we go. So if you're watching the video, you should be seeing the image of the box set's contents. If are you able to hear me while I'm showing the image? Just making sure. Let me just look at the feed and um, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm audible. Yeah, I'm always paranoid that something's gonna go like technically whatever, but yeah, the contents of this include a booklet which has sleeve notes from Jerry Ewing of Prague, and it's been especially curated by Rick Nelson, Wetton archivist and John's close friend. And the packaging and artwork has been designed by John's longtime collaborator, Michael Inns. The entire project is released with the blessing of John's wife, Lisa, and son, Dylan, and has a full support of the Wetton estate. And there's a quote from Jeff Downs saying, "These songs and recordings will live forever and continue to bring joy to those who listen to them. John has left us all a gift, and it is a very precious one." So this box set includes Chasing the Dragon, released in 1995, uh, Acoustica Live in America, which came out in 96, Hazy Monet, came out in 98, Live in Osaka in 1997, which came out in 2003, Adama Acoustica, Progfest 1997, and rehearsal and soundcheck performances. So yeah, last I checked, I think on Burning Shed it was out of stock, so they might need to restock that. It might be a couple other places, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. It looks like a really great collection to have. Um, and, moving on to another person who was also very instrumental and part of the King Crimson legacy and was also involved with ELP is Peter Sinfield, who passed away on the 14th. And there was a nice post from Carl Palmer, and there was also something on the DGM live page, or I think that's what's called DGM. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna look through it. Like it showed his credits, and he's really done a lot of stuff. It's really impressive. Um, okay, so there's a picture of Peter, and I'm just gonna, share like his credits. He was on the first few King Crimson, or wrote lyrics, contributed lyrics on the first few King Crimson albums, and so that would include In the Court of the Crimson King, In the Wake of Poseidon, Lizard, and Islands. Um, he also collaborated with Ian MacDonald, providing lyrics for the Birdman Suite for a self-titled album, MacDonald and Giles. Um, let's see. Helped Roxy Music's debut album. Provided lyrics and production for Photos of Ghosts and The World Became the World for Italian group PFM, who were signed to ELP's Manticore label. And his only post Crimson solo album was Still. And in 1974, a year after that, he published a collection of poetry and lyrics, Under the Sky. Um, Apparently, that's really sought after. So he continued working with Greg Lake and ELP, providing lyrics for Brain Salad Surgery, Works Volumes 1 and 2, and Love Beach, and was also involved in successful hit singles later on for the likes of Cher, Bucks Fizz, Five Star, Cliff Richard, Celine Dion, and even the words for Greg Lake's I Believe in Father Christmas. So he's done a lot to, he's got a really impressive resume, like just all that he was able to do. He also contributed lyrics to solo stuff by David Cross, John Wetton, and Ian MacDonald's debut solo album Driver's Eyes. Revised lyrics for Jacko Jazik's rearranged cover of King Crimson's Pictures of a City, and Jazik's solo album The Bruised Romantic Glee Club. Recast with sitar-like guitars, tabla, and vocals from Pandit Dinesh. It was retitled Pictures of an Indian City. Also took part in 1997's Epitaph playback and the Stephen Wilson King Crimson playback at Air Studios in 2009. And in 2014, Robert Fripp, that is, invited Sinfield to provide an updated take on the lyrics of 21st Century Schizoid Man, renewing their partnership, albeit briefly and at a distance, in line with Fripp's mission to have the music and, in this instance, the lyrics reimagined for the new incarnation of King Crimson, a keen cook and gardener living on the Suffolk coast in the town of Aldeburgh, famed for its international music festival, Peter had been suffering from declining health for several years. So, yeah, and there were some posts about him. I see Bella Lugrisi chiming in saying, uh, rest in peace, Pete, a genius artist. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, just really huge part of prog rock right there. All right, and speaking of King Crimson, a little update on the whole Beat thing. I previously recapped and reviewed the Beat show that I attended uh, in Los Angeles at the United Theater, and that was also live streamed to Veeps. And when I was reviewing, doing my recap, I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I should watch the Veeps archive, and I think I got it like on either Saturday night or Sunday night. I rented it on there and have it for a week. And yeah, I'm glad that I watched it because I got to see the different angles and up close angles of each of the musicians performing. And during the intermission, there was also footage, like behind the scenes footage, members talking about getting the whole project together. There's rehearsal footage from Anaheim, and talking about availability. After this was something that was just stating since 2019, but then COVID delayed it, and then after that it was all about availability. Someone would be touring for 18 more months, and schedules would have to align. Tony Levin, of course, played with Peter Gabriel again last year. I got to see one of those concerts, and yeah, interesting that I was able to see him in that context with Gabriel and in this context with Beat. Um, so yeah, I'm really glad I went ahead and watched this professionally shot version of the concert. There were a couple moments where I think the guitar sounded a little distorted, and I don't remember it feeling like that when I watched the concert in person. So I don't know if it's just where I was sitting or if it was something about the way the audio was being taken in on the recording. Um, but yeah, I really hope that they give this home media release. It's something that everyone should get to watch. All right, and another King Crimson alumnus, Bill Bruford. Uh, he had his autobiography released years and years ago, and it's recently gotten a re-release on Burning Shed. As this news a few weeks ago, I think, so that there were signed copies available. And Dad and I have read this book, I think, a couple years ago. It's a really good, informative read. And yeah, it's something that every fan of Yes, King Crimson, Earthworks, or just Bill Bruford in general should read. And yeah, so it's described as candid, intelligent, often humorous on the product listing on Bernie Shed. And yeah, that's very apt. It says this is the Feruli edition, which has a new 1100 word prologue plus additional photos and a different layout from the Jawbone original. All copies sold through the Bill Bruford store are signed by Bill. So, yeah, very interesting indeed. And Bill Bruford, he also was talked about during this a recent Rick Wakeman interview. Rick Wakeman was interviewed by Rick Beato, and they got to talking about Fragile at some point, and it was really cool seeing Rick, on the keyboard doing some of the guitar parts on the keys, and he talked about how Bill Bruford really wanted the organ solo on Roundabout, and he complimented Bill and talking about how great he is. Um, and yeah, Rick also talked about this interview was like an hour and a half, but it was very much worth watching. It's up on YouTube. Rick Wakeman and Rick Beato. So double the Ricks, I guess you could say. Even talked about the difference in mixing with David Bowie and mixing with Yes, mixing the music. So it's a really cool interview, and Speaking of Fragile, just a reminder that Fragile Outtakes is coming out for Record Store Day, or from Record Store Day, one of those. It comes out November 29th. Let me just present the image of it. I think this is the only image of it that there is of how it looks. Um, okay, it's this one. Yeah. So, just as a reminder, this includes Roundabout Early Rough Mix, All Fighters Past from a Steven Wilson mix. We have Heaven, full version, Steven Wilson mix. South Side of the Sky, early take. 5% for Nothing, alternate version. Long Distance Runaround and the Fish. Mood for Another Day. I'm not sure if that's what it's actually titled, like if that's a different version or if it's just maybe a typo. But I guess someone who gets this, whoever gets this first, let everyone know. Heart of the Sunrise, alternate version. So yeah, might be an interesting collector's item there. And there's also recently, I think they're known as Rael NYC or something. On YouTube, there's a fan made documentary on Fragile, and it's an interesting watch. It talks about the origins of certain pieces and trying to reconcile accounts of different things and whatnot. It's the same person who did these YouTube documentaries on drama and was it Relayer or Tales or maybe both. Like I feel like maybe Going for the One was one of them as well. But yeah, another one of these fan made YouTube documentaries, and it's really interesting how they're put together. I see Seth Fuga is tuning in from Sydney, Australia on Facebook. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Um, but yeah, I also saw that there's a Big Generator fan made documentary or YouTuber made documentary, whichever is the correct term, I guess. This one visually, like the footage and pictures that are included are made to look dark. I don't know if that's due to um, trying to get around using certain images and footage or if it's a stylistic thing. It's it's not the sort of style I would tend to go for, but the narration provides interesting factual information, and the approach is kind of different from the other uh, YouTube documentary where it talks about what else was going on in the 80s and the trends and certain releases that were going on, what Rush was up to, what some other artists were up to. So yeah, I guess you all can be the judge of how much you enjoy these documentaries. um yeah, it's really cool how people are able to put out this content about the musicians and bands that they follow, even from eras like long ago. But getting back to Rick, I see that he also posted about a re-release of ABWH's An Evening of Yes Music Plus. For some reason, I feel like maybe there was another re-release a couple years ago, or maybe it was just a studio album. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I do remember a while ago, um, long before that would have happened, back in 2007. I remember when Voiceprint released the DVD of this, and Dad and I got our copies, and it just really made a huge impression on me, that concert. But yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and show the cover image, even though y'all already know this image, with the floating islands and stuff. But yeah, so the post said coming in January on Fragile slash Esoteric Records, An Evening of Yes Music Plus, a comprehensive and remastered presentation of the 1989 concert by Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe, capturing the essence of Yes. This 2 CD slash 2 DVD set features iconic tracks, bonus material, and improved audio visual quality, offering fans an immersive experience with performances by four core Yes members. This edition combines musical legacy with high production value, appealing to both classic rock enthusiasts and devoted Yes fans. So interesting that the post emphasizes the yes of it, but I guess the title does as well. There is a recent Roger Dean and Freya Dean Q&A, or I guess it would have been toward the end of last month, but where he was asked what it was like working on the ABWH album cover, for the studio album, The Blue Desert. And he said it felt similar to working with Yes, because of course it was the people who were in Yes, but it was different because of the measurements of the piece. It's such a huge piece. Whenever Dad and I saw the uh, Frey Rogers exhibit a couple years ago, we were surprised like how huge it was. So yeah, so this I do remember when this video came out on DVD in 2007. There was a limited run that included that in the Big Dream documentary. It's like a half-hour documentary of the band talking about getting together and the music, and there are a couple music videos, or a few music videos, I guess I should say. By the time Dad and I ordered, I think they'd run out of those, and we got the ones that had just a concert film, which was still great. Um, and at some point within the last decade, I feel like there was some re-release that had behind the scenes black and white footage of the band. I don't remember if that was on a re-release of the studio album or a re-release of this live film. But yeah, I'm kind of wondering if this is worth ordering again just to have the documentary in my collection. That's something I'll have to debate with myself, I guess. But cool. That's on Cherry Red Records. And let's see. Oh, Oliver Wakeman, uh, another Wakeman, continued releasing parts of his Making of Anamkara documentary series that he's been posting on his YouTube channel. And these are a few minutes each, so very easy to make time to get through each of them. There's interviews with the members of, I guess you could say, the band, people who worked on the album and, of course, performed it with him live. And there's even bits of the live footage, and they mentioned hoping to play it again. So I do really hope that they're able to play together again, this music and From a Page as well. So yeah, great thing that that's being put out, those documentary episodes. And Yes Music Podcast also put out a new interview with Oliver Wakeman. So they had another chat with him. And toward the end, I won't say what it is, but he mentions a Yes project that was being worked on, or a Yes related project. And it was very fascinating hearing what it was. So go check that out. And of course, Kevin Mulrine of Yes Music Podcast is, gonna be putting out that book of his, Tales from Topographic Ocean's listening guide. So I think it's close to being finished, but yeah, go ahead and check out Yes Music Podcast and get all the updates and whatnot. And as for Adam Wakeman, the Jazz Sabbath album, the 1968 tapes, is coming out soon, November 29th. I ordered my vinyl copy, so I'm really excited for that to arrive whenever it does. Um, and there's also like a cassette copy listing, I should say. But also, circling back to Roger Dean, there's also, let me show this. This is a sketch of the Badger from the cover of Badger. Let me make sure I can present that. Okay, so it would be this tab right here. Okay, and over on the Roger Dean official Facebook page, Yeah, you gotta make sure it's the official one because there are imposters out there. But yeah, he says, "Would you like this sketch? You can win it if you place an order for one of my new 2025 calendars. You will be automatically entered into the competition. Bonus points if you like and comment on this post. Order your calendar here, and it links to the Roger Dean shop. Please note the following dates for pre Christmas posting of calendars: December 1st, world excluding UK and Europe; December 6th, Europe and USA; December 18th, UK Royal Mail. In general, we'd recommend ordering sooner rather than later. The competition will close at 23:59 GMT on December 6th, 2024. Good luck. And also, as a reminder, there's a Roger Dean live painting session at Trading Boundaries coming on November 29th. There's a lot going on the 29th. So check out the Trading Boundaries site and see if tickets are available. Okay, so this next bit. Okay, so now we get to the Dare to Know situation and, where to even begin. So, um, yeah, so this is such a silly thing to happen, but yeah, when this Rolling Stone article came out talking about the accusation from Riz Story of the band Anyone, saying that John Davison and Steve Howe may have lifted something from his song Reunion, or I guess it's a track, I should say, from his film A Winter Rose. Yes fans were on it, like doing, digging and investigating. And just yesterday and today, there were statements from John Davison and Steve Howe. So um, before I get into that, I'm gonna like verbally tell you a timeline of things. Okay, so 1973, Tales from Topographic Oceans is being made. There's a studio run through of The Ancient, and about 5 minutes in, you can hear the notes that go like do 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 or something like that, on guitar. And then 20, what was it, 2012? According to the Rolling Stone article, 2012 is when Reunion was recorded, and it has kind of similar sounding piano notes. When the news came out, I was scooting through the film on Tubi and trying to figure out what bit of music sounds like Dare to Know, and I couldn't figure out. And then, but on YouTube, a scene from the film, which is what's being pointed to, had a few piano notes, and really they feel like notes that anyone could have come to independently of having heard either thing. But this is the scene that's been pointed to, and claiming that Dare to Know lifted something from that. So 2021, Yes released The Quest, which includes Dare to Know, and begins with a do 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 do. And then afterward, like sometime afterward, someone pointed out that that studio run through of The Ancient has something similar. So it's something that Steve would have, gone back and reworked. And we know that Steve Howe, he he keeps his ideas. He has the homebrew albums, the anthology albums, all these demos and stuff, and he'll dig up stuff to reuse way later, um, which I really like. So, um, the quest was 3 years ago, and in that time, there's still been work with, Riz Story put out a new Anyone material, and even earlier this year, back in January or something like that, a song that featured John Davison on vocals. But that was like in between the release of the quest and this recent Rolling Stone article talking about the suit that was filed. And there's like a report in there about a musicologist making these claims about the similarities, and people online have looked into that and uh, critiqued that and whatnot. But yeah, so we get the response from John Davison yesterday. It's a long response, but I implore you all to give it a full read. It's on yesworld.com. And then today we get the post from Steve Howe, where he mentions the ancient connection and even links to a SoundCloud post by a user called Ox Phoenix, who makes a comparison in this 12-minute clip, putting the bits of the ancient studio run through and Dare to Know on top of each other, those few notes. Um, and yeah, part of the accusation against Yes is this idea that John Davison would have, this is such a silly accusation, would have lifted those few notes and let Steve Howe have the sole credit for Dare to Know to cover the tracks. It's a conspiracy or something, which really silly. Like they're able to come up with their own ideas, and yeah, it's just I don't know what other way to describe it than silly. So Steve Howe put out a statement today. It's on the Yes official page, assuring John Davison did not write Dare to Know. I did, and it was based on a theme I've been developing since 1973. Early versions can easily be found in our demo and studio recordings from the time and on the internet. Some were released on an expanded version of Tales from Topographic Oceans, so that would have been in 2003, and I have my copy of that. And of course linked to that a SoundCloud clip that I mentioned, and in the John Davison statement, on Facebook, he has a short version. He describes as uh, the abridged version, and the Gates of Delirium version is this longer version. Um, so in this statement, he mentions that he has not watched the movie A Winter Rose because like he'd seen the trailer, but he did not watch this film because he was really put off by the content of the first film. And he talks about um, again, I implore you all to read the full statement because I'm kind of giving the Cliff Notes version of this, but it really should be read in full. Let's see. Um, okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to get to the main points in here. Um, Seeing if there's anything I haven't mentioned already. So he mentions the Riz story accusation being a complete fabrication, and let's see. I can also categorically confirm I've never heard this piece of music before the film was released, and the piece of music is called Reunion. I don't know if I mentioned that. Our time as, quote, bandmates, unquote, lasted, or I guess I'm still quoting it, but that's how he puts it in here, lasted only a few months when we were kids. Uh, Contrary to the narrative that has been told by Riz, Taylor, Hawkins, and I were not founding members of his band Anyone. Riz, Taylor, and I met in 1992 when Taylor and I were 20 and 21 and Riz was 26 and formed a band that Riz called Blash Meth. I left before the band became Sylvia with a different lineup, and it was 2001 before Anyone, again with a different lineup, made an album. And so, yeah, so the Rolling Stone article, I think, mentions that Davison is described as a founding member of Anyone. Soon after, our lives began with very different directions. Um, he goes into, mentions Taylor joining Sats Jordan, Lannis Morrison and Foo Fighters, and Davison joining Sky Chris Mary in '93. Um, and then eventually joined Yes, and Riz seemed supportive of Davison being in Yes, but then all this happens, and Davison believes, in the statement saying that maybe Riz is unhappy with how his career has gone and now has, done this. And, it's really concerning. And, it's a friend of Davison, and it's uh, also scrutinizes the uh, musicologist thing in here, I think. But yeah, I feel like I'm not giving this statement its full due, but it's a rather long statement. But again, it's worth reading. But yeah, it includes two appendices that include, their evidence and their response that they did not steal the bit of Dare to Know that's being pointed to here, and also mentioning the ancient connection. Um, and he mentions communications with Riz about Riz being excited about him being in Yes, but now looking back in hindsight, it's a whole thing. But um, yeah, and oh, I see that also includes Steve Howe's statement that I mentioned earlier now on this page. So this lawsuit, it does not really have legs. It, if anything, the notes would have been derived from the ancient studio run through. We know Steve Howe does this. He has these demos and he works them into things, and sometimes even circles back to working on them for new things. It's stuff that Yes has done with Fly From Here. Um, and yeah, fans have made comparisons to the Ice Bridge situation, but as is mentioned in the statement as well, that was a different situation. It was an accidental mistake. Jeff Downs thinking that one of the demo tapes in his possession was one of his when it was actually Francis Monkman's, and then the two of them resolved that and they gave Francis Monkman credit. But Yes fans, they read this news, and the ones who are very against the current incarnation of the band, they use this as fuel to point fingers at the band and be without doing their research or due diligence, reading statements, um, and even in the comments that I've seen, you have this full statement from John Davison that's very comprehensive and has all the info you need, and you have comments saying, "Wait, what happened?" And it's like, well, read the article, I would say. And you also have, another uh, person saying, can you give us the short version? And it's like the Facebook post has a short version, and the website has the full version, and you have all the info that you need. Like, if it's there, if you need it, it feels like there's no winning with some people. And you also have fans here and there, criticizing Yes for reusing older ideas from time to time. But in my opinion, like, it works, when they pull from their own archives and rework them for much later stuff, like they're able to create something great. And this is something that John Anderson does as well, in Thousand Hands, bits of True, maybe some other projects, and it's a good, like, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm a lyricist. I have lyrics that I've written in, like, throughout middle school, high school, college, and the years after. Stuff going back 15 years or so, and I don't know if I'll be putting them out on anything for however long. It could be 10 years. And so if I get to that point, like, you're telling me that I can't use any of that just because it's from decades ago? Like, what? I don't know. There's a lot of silliness going on. Um, and I know that's a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, the point is, the proof is in that ancient recording. Um, like this whole suit, like I just hope that it's like set aside and that the band can move on. And Dad also put it earlier or maybe yesterday that this will, we support John Davison and yes in this, and he said that this will be a blip on John Davison's overall journey. And yeah, I hope that it's not too frustrating having to go through this. Like, yeah, it might feel hurtful at the moment, but I hope that they're able to get past this, and that they have all the stuff they need to prove that there are no legs to this thing. But yeah, so it's just a silly thing to happen. But anyway, yeah, I don't know like how what else to add to that. I feel like we've all that said has that needs to be said has been said, and yeah. But John Davison, we support you, and we hope you're able to get through all of this, especially like with all the evidence that if anyone with common sense would see as the truth. All right, so yeah, hopefully the suit is refuted and it can't go any further. But um let's see, it's really weird segueing from that. But John Davison also recently did background vocals for his father-in-law John Lodge's new single "Love Will Conquer All," which will also be part of an EP of the same name coming out in February, I believe, on Valentine's Day. And this is yeah, the single came out on the 15th recently, and there's a music video on YouTube. It's a nice listen. John Lodge also mentions the context of this, saying the incredible new single. Oh, this is from the video description. Will Conquer All was written by John Lodge during his recent health challenges, suffering, as he put it, a Christmas present he didn't want, a stroke. While he dealt with his personal adversity and the immense challenge of the work involved to recover, he felt his creativity rising to create this heartwarming Christmas song. Love Will Conquer All is a song of love, renewal, and healing, and John wanted to share it with everyone in the sincere hope that his journey might just help inspire others. The song was written by John and features John on vocals, lead guitar, bass guitar, and acoustic guitar. John Davison, the singer of the progressive rock band Yes, and John's son-in-law, joins him on background vocals, provided the drums and rhythms, and also co-produced the track with John Lodge. Lead guitars provided by Ray Nesbitt, John's front of house sound on tour, and also an incredible musician too. Finally, John Lodge asks his wife to join him on backing vocals, as at the heart of this song is his relationship with Kirsten and their 56-year marriage. Wow. Love will conquer all. And there's a quote here, we all have our challenges in life. Mine happened last Christmas, but like a phoenix, this song appeared and helped me work through some of those difficult days. As I look forward to Christmas this year, I know it was love that got me through, and my Christmas wish for everyone is that they are surrounded with love and great music this year. The song will be released on November 15th to all streaming services and will also be available as an instant gratification song from the accompanying EP Love Will Conquer All, out on February 14th, 2025. And so the music video was edited by Andrew Clark, John Lodge footage, and Emily Davison and John Davison, produced by John, Emily, and John Davison, proudly made in the UK with love, keeping the fair for Hail South Ltd, or Limited, I guess I should say. And yeah, I see that this EP is available to pre-order on shop.johnlodge.com. Let me just share that tab real quick. Oh, Nintendo 64's King says So glad the Dare to No suit is BS. John Davison's statement was wonderful. Uh, and the studio run through The Ancient makes it clear it's a How piece from 1973. Yeah. Um, okay, so where is that tab? Um, okay, here it is. So you can get this in a few different forms. There's a signed CD, signed vinyl. Um, so yeah, it looks like looks like there's a limited edition Violet EP vinyl. Okay. Oh, I see. So the CD, if it's signed, is $20. Uh, Violet vinyl, if it's signed, is 35. And then if it's just a regular CD, it's 15, and regular vinyl is 30. Okay, so yeah, great stuff right there. Um, let's see, what's the next topic? Oh, so there were a couple Steve Howe articles and some interesting questions there about his influences and talking about Chet Atkins and stuff like that. One of these was a Music Radar article, and that one I remember one of the things he was asked is what performance is he most proud of, and he mentions Clap and getting that whole thing right. And over on Louder Sound, he was asked which album he's most proud of, and I mean, I guess it's no surprise. And there's other stuff on the interview that's might be more surprising, like really cool bits of Steve Howe trivia stuff. But he mentions Close to the Edge because, of course, it's a major milestone in prog rock, as we all know. But yeah, and he does mention, maybe in that same article, that Tormato has bits that he kind of regrets, but he must have gotten something right along the way. And yeah, among us fans, we've had some discourse about Tormato. It's a quirky album. Some people enjoy it, some not really. But yeah, it got kind of a resurgence thanks to Kevin Mulrine's book on it a year ago. Um, let's. Oh, Nintendo says funny that the EP shares a name with that Yes song from the Yes Years box set. Yeah, it did remind me of that, although that song is titled Love Conquers All, and this one's titled Love Will Conquer All. A thin distinction, I know, but you know. Um, okay, so, oh, and Steve Howe also chatted about Guitarscape in the latest issue of Total Guitar. So, Dad and I reviewed that album not too long ago. I think in September, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe August. I don't know. Time is weird. And Hannah Wickland um, opened for Yes and Deep Purple during the recent tour, and really cool on guitar from the bits that I've seen. But in this louder or not louder, a Guitar World um, article, Hannah says Steve Howe is such a creative guitar player. It was fun checking out all his gear. He really made the case to me for the guitar stand. The one where your guitar is actually standing. It allows you to move over and play something else quickly. Yeah, so that's very cool right there. All right, so now moving on to John Anderson. As I mentioned earlier, there were updates on some of his ongoing projects in a recent article by Stephen Lamb. And, Stephen Lamb, author um, of the recent 90125 book. Yeah. So regarding the musical that he's been working on since like the maybe the 80s or 79 at the earliest, I think. Chagall. So John is quoted as saying, so they're talking about doing a rendition of it next spring. They said to wait until we get to Broadway, and I said, I don't think so. There are so many things going on Broadway. Why don't we just try to do it in Boston? And yeah, I think he might have mentioned this when Dad and I interviewed him last month, and talking about Kelsey Grammer being involved in it. He also provided an update on Zamran, which is the sequel to Elias, and Opus Opus. Uh, but it seems those two things are maybe merging into one thing. Um, he listened to one of them on a morning walk, and he says, I think this is in reference to Zamran, saying, I know it sounds crazy, but at the moment it's over 3 hours long. I'm very lucky to work with an Irish video maker, Michael Byrne, who might take into something with a multimedia slant. He's actually done many of my songs and video, and people seem to like his work. That's good for this project, which has worked out to be a piece with long form musical and lyrical ideas. It's about the Earth Mother and how we can wake up and dream better, whereas Elias was definitely a storytelling operation. It was Zamran, and now it's all part of another project, Opus Opus. It's all crashing together. Yeah, so that's interesting how the two projects are merging. I remember a while ago, John said Zamran was like 4 hours or longer, or something like that. So yeah, it's something I guess is like ever evolving. Um, Regarding 1000 Hands Chapter 2, this article says that Volume 2 might still be some way off. John says he's still in touch with Michael Franklin, the producer, whom we've actually had on our show a couple times. So John is quoted as saying that Michael came up with some more ideas. I sent him some more ideas. I even started singing in Chinese to develop one. It's true, believe me, I sounded terrible. Um, but apparently, the follow up to the Anderson Stolt album, Invention of Knowledge, might be coming soon. So he's quoted as saying, I love that album, but it wasn't the right time for that kind of music to be successful, I think. Whenever I listen to it, I think it's really good. We're looking at a follow up for next year. All right, so potentially 2025, another Anderson Stolt album. I wonder what he means by releasing it. The first one at the time was the wrong time. For me, I mean, I know I came to the album a year after its release, but it felt like the right time for me with all the rough stuff I was going to, and needing that to like help me out. Nintendo 64's King says hoping Zamran will get a release soon. Um, I suppose he's up for adapting things. Any updates on new Circa? Oh, I actually don't know. I think there was an update a while ago that maybe they were working on something, but yeah, I might have to look into that. But yeah, I vaguely remember maybe a year or more ago, I thought I read something saying that they were working on another album, but I don't know for sure at the moment. Um, but yeah, closing out that article, John was also asked about his autobiography, and he said, the publishers asked me to do a second section from the part that I died in 2008 onwards. I started sketching it out, but over this period of touring, it's fallen away a bit. It's not that I lost interest in it, I just think I couldn't put it together in my mind. Jane said, well, I remember this and that. I said, great, can you help me? She said, no, I don't want to get involved. So we're a bit stuck. So interesting. I could imagine maybe it's tough getting into like the thick of it in certain parts of life. I don't think I could write my own autobiography because I'm not sure I'd be able to make it, um, my own, like, have all the info that really summarizes uh, what makes me, and also stuff. I can't include everything, so it's like I feel like writing an autobiography would be a really tough task compared to writing novels, which is what I do. But yeah, interested to see if like that ever comes to fruition. There was also a post on the, I think this was on the John Anderson Facebook page, saying that some of the John and the Band Geeks True shirts are going fast. So go ahead and check that out, see if there are any left. Dad and I have worn our shirts on the show a few times. Really like them. There is also a video from who is this Instagram user? I think it's Sketch Poetic. Um, Let me just double check. Yeah, okay, it's Sketch Poetic and did a commission for Deborah Anderson as a gift for her father, John. Um, and so, put this artwork on a guitar and sent it to John. And there's this video clip of him like opening it and receiving it, and he seems really impressed with it. So go ahead and check that out over at Sketch Poetic over on Instagram. And just a week ago, I actually attended another one of John's Patreon Zoom meetings for people who are subscribed to his Patreon. It was the first one he'd done in a few months because he was touring with the Band Geeks, and then he needed some rest after that. But yeah, let me just grab my phone. I gotta refresh myself on how that convo was. It was a really fun convo. Talking with people who are um, fans of John and seeing how into the convo they are. Um, yeah, so let's see. Oh, Tracy uh, asked if John feels the energy of the crowd, like at the Phoenix show that we went to. And, John basically said, yeah, he does. And uh, he does feel it. And there were instances where he sang bits of songs. He sang the chorus of Survival, a bit of I've Seen All Good People, and uh, I think also while he was talking about Wondrous Stories, Build Me an Ocean, Stave Independence. So you get fun stuff like that during these Patreon things. Someone will mention a song and then he'll try singing it. Um, let's see. Oh, someone apparently named a star after John and Jane, and also after um, John's daughter Jade a while ago. So I thought that was interesting. Um, let's see. Oh, and John also has like a space background on his Zoom now, as I'm sure some of you saw in one of those interviews that went up on YouTube. So at some point he was like, someone mentioned Relayer, and then he sang that bit of the remembering where he's like Relayer, and then said, "I'm floating through space." um, so yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. There's some other cool stuff. Oh, he sang a bit of Candle Song. Apparently, he sang that to someone after an Amsterdam show as well. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And um, if you attend these Patreon Zoom calls, sometimes he'll sprinkle in some like neat bits of info where it's like stuff you might not have known before, or he'll talk about like what he hopes to do for like future plans, what he's doing. So, yeah, they're really great conversations there. Um, oh, and I don't know if I talked about this last time, but over on his YouTube channel, there's like a Christmas EP, and this includes tracks that are all already out in some form, but includes "I Believe It," "Is It Love," "Just What I Needed," "Love This Ever Life," "Love Is Everything," "Now," and "Av Verum." While just reading that track list, it's like they all flow pretty well together. Um, but yeah, it's neat seeing him put that together in that track list. Now actually has both now tracks from A Thousand Hands, so Now and Again. But speaking of John Anderson and celebrations and stuff, Total Mass Retain we're doing their John Anderson birthday tribute shows, and this is the set list that they did for at least one of the shows. So included Firebird Suite, And You and I, the intro to Revealing Signs of God. So that would be the chanting. Wondrous Stories, Long Distance Runaround, Show Me, Close to the Edge, Holy Lamb, The Meeting, Under Heaven's Oh, so this next bit is like a guitar solo that Joe Cass, the drummer Joe Cass, got this guitar to do, sort of an emulation of what John would do for his acoustic solo shows. So he did a medley that included Under Heaven's Door, Circus of Heaven, and To the Runner. And then they played Final Eyes, Lift Me Up, Awaken, Make It Easy, slash Owner of Lonely Heart, and Starship Trooper. And you can find clips of a couple of these shows over on YouTube, over on Mike Yes Fan YouTube channel. Mike being Joe's dad. So you can get an idea of how some of these went, and it's really cool that they were able to do this. Yeah, I, I'm 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 really curious how the Holy Lamb sounded this time around, because I did see there were clips of TMR performing Holy Lamb 5 years ago. So I'm wondering if it was like the same caliber. It's really cool. Dad and I have joked on the show together about Holy Lamb. I love it, and he thinks it's kind of lackluster ending to Big Generator. But anyway, so great job doing the celebration. The acoustic medley was really well done. Really great at channeling John in that sort of mode. Um, Also want to mention that close to the Yes USA, the Texas-based Yes tribute band, are having another show that they've made a Facebook event for. This is happening in March, I believe. March 14th, 2025, at Tolbert's Texas Chili Parlor. And this will also include uh, Clockwork Angels, which is a tribute to Rush. So very cool, staying active right there. Let me just look through the other news items. We're almost done here, folks. I should have gotten a water. I'm feeling my throat getting dry. But yeah, I'll power through. I'll power through. Um, but yeah, another thing that happened recently is the release of this limited edition Relayer hardcover book. And actually, I have my copy over here. Let me just go grab it real quick. Yeah, just one sec, everyone. Um, Making sure I don't like bump into anything. Gotta move that. All right, one sec. All right, so for those watching the video, okay, so here's how it looks. It's a hardcover book, and the layout is pretty good. I haven't read the text itself. I need to make time for it. I'll do a more um, post reading review for the Relayer episode Dad and I are gonna put out in the near future. But yeah, you got this background. I think that's a throwback to the tour books of around that time, like mid 70s. Um, oh, this is a neat photo. Yeah, you gotta see these like up close. But there are some photos that were in the Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour book, because this isn't a book that's like all about Relayer, from what I understand. It's the book that was designed for the Relayer album series tour that never was. And so it's gotten a slight update. The introduction mentions the change of circumstances, but doesn't go too in depth about it. But yeah, so I did see the Gottlieb brothers were commenting on Forgotten Yesterday's post about this, saying that they want people to know what they are getting, because on the um, Yes official store, like I just saw it and just clicked buy immediately. I think it was maybe they've lowered the price a little bit, but I think it's 100 right now. Um, or maybe they haven't. I don't know, but I'll go ahead and share the tab in a moment. There are actually a few other relayer related items on there. So let me just share that. But yeah, really cool seeing that the Gottlieb brothers were on it, making sure that people know what they're getting before they buy it. Um, okay, here it is. So right here, there's a limited edition Relayer hardcover book, $100 in the U.S. Black Viper Relayer 50th Anniversary T-shirt, $45. Relayer 50th Anniversary acrylic ornament, $15. So maybe something for the holidays if you're decorating. And the silver tie-dye Relayer logo T-shirt, $45. Interesting. So I'm thinking that the release of this book might point to, just reinforcing that the Relayer album series tour is probably not happening, at least not anytime soon. Um, but, it is what it is. I'm glad that we've been through all of that, so it's whatever now. But I am glad that the work that they put into the book for that tour that never was is still getting its due and put out, so that people, so that their efforts are not for naught. So yeah, I'll get through this book once I have time. It's just been such a busy couple of weeks recently. But another album turning 50 tomorrow actually is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And Dad will actually be doing his tribute, drumming along to songs from that Genesis album, the final one to feature Peter Gabriel. It's a concept album, um, huge part of prog rock history. Um, and there's also this news of a 50th anniversary and super deluxe edition of the album. Let me just show the image of that. Um, or no, it's not that one. Um, okay, here we go. Yeah, get a look at that right there. Right. So this includes a 60-page coffee table style book with liner notes from journalist Alexis Petridis, however it's pronounced, who interviewed all 5 band members to tell the story of the album from the writing sessions to live performances, which is believed to be the only time this has happened since its original release. The book also features images from Armando Gallo, Richard Haynes, and other noted photographers, and the set also includes a replica 1975 tour program, ticket, and poster. There are 3 never before seen release demos from legendary Headley Grange session, included as part of a digital download card with the full audio from the set. For the first time, the full live show, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, live at the Shrine Auditorium from January 24th, 1975, including the encore tracks, is released in its entirety. It is remastered and includes 2 encore tracks, Watcher of the Skies and The Musical Box. This is the first time the full live show, including the encore tracks, has been released in its entirety. I'm reading this from Ladder, by the way. Kind of reading it in reverse, like scrolling up. It includes the original album mix remastered at Abbey Road Studios by Miles Shoal from the 74 analog tapes, while a Blu-ray audio disc includes the remastered 96K Hertz 24-bit high-resolution audio and Dolby Atmos mixes of the studio album. So, there's a quote from Steve Hackett. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was something new for audiences, which confused and thrilled them equally. I feel this album is a Genesis classic. Nice. Yeah, so I think this will be a cool thing for Genesis fans or prog fans in general to have in their collection. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the tracks. So there's Lamb Remastered 2024 from the original 74 tapes. Live from the Shrine Auditorium, LA. Um, and yeah, the demos. Yeah, okay. Nice. All right, so one last item before we go. Um, and this is also Prague related, so I figure why not. Jethro Tull are putting out like a new edition of their Christmas album. Let me just get the image. And of course, Jethro Tull toured with Yes during the Yes album era. Okay, so yeah, get a look at that, those discs and that book. So just reading the news here. Uh, let's see. Jethro Tull's relationship with the Christmas season goes all the way back to legendary band's early days. Now it's to be renewed for modern day admirers and longtime fans alike with the release of an expanded and remixed edition of 2003's The Jethro Tull Christmas album via Inside Out Music on the 6th of December 2024. With the release just around the corner, the 2024 remix of the track Jack Frost and Hooded Crew has been launched on digital services. Newly mixed by Bruce Sword, the Pineapple Thief. You can listen to it on YouTube and watch a trailer for the reissue. Under the title The Jethro Tull Christmas Album Fresh Snow at Christmas, the band's 21st studio album has been remixed from the original masters by Bruce Sword, as well as being given the surround sound treatment in both Dolby Atmos and 5.1. The limited deluxe 4 CD plus Blu ray book set collection features all new artwork as well as live material and includes the following across its 5 discs, 5 CDs. 4 CDs and 1 Blu ray disc. So CD1 original album mixes, CD2 2024 remixes, CD3 Christmas Live at St. Bride's 2008, newly remixed by Bruce. CD4 the Ian Anderson Band Live at St. Bride's 2006, previously unreleased. And the Blu-ray is a Dolby Atmos 5.1 surround sound and high-resolution stereo mixes of the album, as well as high-resolution stereo mixes of both live recordings. As well as this, the album will be released on vinyl for the very first time as a gatefold 180G 2LP featuring the 2024 remixes. Pre-orders are available now. Let me check the link for this. Okay, so it's on Inside Out, Bandcamp, and a few other places. All right, cool. So I think that's it for the news this time around. Let's see. I kind of want to see if I can see if there's been any Circa update, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm trying to check on Henry Potts' site, Belndege Zoo, but yeah, check out that page and see if it sees anything. Also, a reminder that tomorrow uh, is the release of Dave Kersner's album It, a celebration of the Lamb was done on Broadway. And Dad and I interviewed him a week ago about this, and we'll repost the interview tomorrow. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. And there are people like Billy Sherwood and a bunch of other people on there. So really cool. All right, so that's it for Yes members related Prague news this time around. And we'll be back sometime soon to talk Relayer and I think something else. I'm trying to remember what else there is that we have in the works, but yeah, we'll be back. There might be a little bit of a break, so we'll see if we put out the episode on Relayer next week, or maybe it'll come after next weekend. Like we'll see what we can do. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone, to Yesshift, and we'll see you all soon.